Hello. I used to be a great fan of a satirical show called Spitting Image. All you guys in America, hang on there. If you don't know what Spitting Image is, I'll tell you, and then I'll tell you a bit more about it because it's important. It throws a light, I'm afraid, not a very good one for you two. So it goes like this. Spitting Image stopped in 1996. They used puppets that were basically animated cartoons of various people in the news. They amounted to good art, those puppets. They were really good, except for one thing, which I criticised them for. I actually wrote in, and they actually changed it. But apparently that idea didn't take. I'm speaking cryptically, don't worry. All will be explained. But the thing is that when they were going to, or as Biden would say, here's the deal. When I heard they were coming up with a new series, I was delighted. And I was even happier when I saw Alex Bellfield's critique of it. He thinks it's marvellous. Now, I can't watch live television because I don't pay my television license. I stopped doing that out of that principle, really. And so I had to wait till the first episode was uploaded to YouTube, and then I saw it. The day before yesterday in the evening, I saw that. Yesterday, unfortunately, I was very much involved with horses and I couldn't make this video. So now I'm making it, well, 2 days later after seeing it. But that's not a bad thing, because it's given me more of a chance to talk about what disturbed me most about the show. There was something about it that I didn't laugh. I thought some bits were quite witty and made incisive comments, but it wasn't funny. I could see it might appeal to a certain boyish humour. For instance, now, just spoiler alert, I'm going to be talking about the show. So some of you might not be able to see it where you live because of copyright things. So I'm going to get fairly detailed. If you'd rather not know the details, then you better not listen to this till after you've seen it. It has President Trump creating tweets with a part of his anatomy which, well, let's put it this way, you boys, it brings a whole new dimension to the idea of writing your name in the snow. Okay, so I understand what they're trying to say, but I didn't think it was funny. I honestly didn't think that was funny. It was sledgehammer humour. And I, generally speaking, I'm not that keen on sledgehammer humour, so this may be just a matter of personal taste. Well, obviously it is. Now, but there were other things about it that I didn't like as well. And the most important thing I'd say was its dishonesty. It's not the honest show it used to be. And where the dishonesty comes in, well, here, I'll do this one first. I was going to build up to this, but no, I'm going to do it first. There's a sort of running gag about Trump and the virus. And it has, at one point, Trump going to a lab and telling the people they weren't getting on top of this virus thing quickly enough. And he insists on being enabled to negotiate with the virus. He's going to talk the virus into doing the right thing for America anyway. And so he's super smalled, and then he stands there and he talks to the virus. And that's fine. That's a good premise. I like that. And he tries bargaining with the virus, and that's fine too. I thought that was very good, right until the virus opened its mouth and spoke with an American accent. Now, actually, the virus should have been speaking with a Chinese accent, should it not? It's sort of obvious that the virus came from somewhere in China, either a wet market or a laboratory. It doesn't really matter. It came from China, and we know that the Chinese knew that it was highly infectious and then sent aeroplanes with travellers out from infected areas into the West when they were shutting down everything within China, because they wanted to slow down the West to the extent that they'd be slowed down as well. And that was a vicious, well, underhand is hardly the word to describe it. It was a very vicious thing to do. And I don't see enough anger in the West about that. But to have this virus talking in an American accent, I know why they did it. I know what would have happened in the script meetings. I've been in those things. They're sitting there and somebody would have said, well, we'll have this virus. It should be talking in a Chinese accent. And somebody, oh, no, you can't do that. It looks racist. And that word racist, that was the end of it. All right, we'll give him a sort of New York type accent instead. And then they can convince themselves, oh yes, it's sort of a reflection of Trump, so that makes it all right. No, you guys in Spitting Image, no. You were chickening out. That was what you were doing, because you didn't want to be accused of racism. Well, if you are going to be the iconoclastic, the outspoken, the real satirical thing, you have to say things that people will accuse you of crossing the line. Peter Cook never shrank back from that. He said some awful things, but he was being satirical. Really satirical. Not like you. You're being, well, I believe the company that made this has strong links to the BBC, doesn't it? I'm not sure. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong there. All right, so it didn't start off with the dishonesty on the Trump coronavirus issue, but that's the theme, the dishonesty. And then, of course, yes, here's some more pictures. I don't want to show you live clips because copyright strikes. Priti Patel. No, I'll get on with that in a minute. Dominic Cummings as an alien who is directing Boris Johnson. I mean, this is, well, you can look at it like that. I didn't find that all that funny. I mean, you can use it that way. Harry Windsor and Meghan, they were very good puppets, by the way. I like those. This one, Harry Windsor's trying to collect unemployment benefit of some sort, and the puppets are fine, and they didn't actually go for him as much as they should have done, because that little Trump's writing implement deserves everything he gets. But they were rather kind. Here's Keir Starmer and Elton John. Well, the puppet of Elton John, let's face it, that's what Elton John looks like. There's not much exaggerated there. And Keir Starmer also, he's not at his most, it's not at its most flattering, but it's not really not as cruel as the Harry one, for instance. And I'm not defending the Harry, I mean, he deserves worse. Here's Jacinda Ardern as Mary Poppins, and that's fine, but if they'd have had her surrounded by Nazi stormtroopers, I would have, or her in a sort of Mary Poppins Nazi outfit, that would have made more sense, because that's the way she's dealing with New Zealand at the moment. And here's Greta Thunberg. I'm not even going to try with that name again. Yeah, that's a good puppet and not bad. They have her sort of saying the weather tomorrow is going to be reasonable enough. Not as incisive on the big businesses behind her, though. But let me finish off. So I was going to finish off with Trump and the virus and the dishonesty about the Chinese thing, but I'm going to finish off with this instead. I did mention that Dominic Cummings is depicted as an alien who has control over Boris Johnson. And I want you, so we have this, and the two images, they're very good. And then in the background is a portrait of Margaret Thatcher. Now, when they were doing the original series, I actually wrote to them, and because they were depicting Margaret Thatcher as she is depicted here in this painting, as a man. And after that, they changed, after my letter, they changed the image and depicted her as some sort of a Nero figure, you know, playing a harp and carried away by her own power. That seemed to me to be reasonable. I didn't like it because I supported Margaret, you know, I was for Margaret Thatcher, but that seemed to me to be reasonable. No, what really I objected to was the fact that they couldn't see a powerful woman, maybe a too powerful leader, or, you know, whatever your opinion of it was. They couldn't see this sort of a person in any other way than as a sort of a fake man. It struck me as the typical sexism of the left. And I didn't like it, and that's what I wrote to them, that this is very sexist. You are disrespecting strong women. You may not like her politics and you may think she's being carried away by the amount of power she has and all the rest of it, but she was not a man. And the fact that you thought that you depicted her in this way struck me as exposing your own prejudices about women. But we all know that the left is, generally speaking, both sexist and racist. They just hide it. And so it looks like they forgot about that when they made this setup, and they kept the original mannish idea. Well, look, I'm still around, Spitting Image, and I'm still annoyed about your attitude, but I don't see that it can be changed because that's the way the left is. And then, of course, we have Priti Patel. She's the latest bugbear, and what do? They depict her as a dominatrix. And again, we have this sexual element in your criticism of women. In Thatcher, she's not really a woman. Patel, she's a woman who, caters to perversions of various sorts. You're not supposed to call them perversions now, but perversions in the technical sense of the word anyway. And again, it's this sexual element of the left, that the way they think of women who don't fit their. Well, here we have the Biden thing. You know, when Biden said to that interviewer, "If you don't vote for me, you ain't black." Well, this is exactly the same attitude. If you act strong, you're not a woman, or you're not the sort of woman we'd like to meet in anything but strictly controlled circumstances. All right, so that's it. Alex, for once, I disagree with you. I don't think it was a good show. I didn't laugh once. I thought some of the stuff was quite witty, but there was no real fun in the show. A lot of it was very spiteful and sometimes deservedly so, but still, it wasn't funny. And it had that tinge of the left's cowardice that I found, well, depressing, really. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share, share, share.